I want to start with this. I just mentioned, Refuse to Lose Sports Network. Where did that idea come from? What was the process like starting it? Because I found it dope. A lot of people have YouTube channels. You decided I'm gonna have a whole network, and you have a literally anything you want to talk about with sports is on your site. So where did it start? What was the inspiration in doing it?
So I had a previous I was working at a previous company for can you hear me?
Yeah.
We go? All right. So yeah, I was with a previous company for over a decade and then things happened and I had to pivot. And then I remember a year prior to that day happening, I called. I have two brothers that I talk sports about a lot. My brother JMO, my brother Javon. All right, and I put an idea like, hey, I want to start a show. We should start a show together, whatever, as a family. Woo woo. And then so a year goes by, and then that situation happened with my previous company, and then I'm like, I got to do something fast. I'm like, you know what? This is the opportunity. This is the time to do it. I could start the sports show. This was August 20th, 2021. I got the news. August 21st, I recorded my first episode. So I remember that night. I called my one of my youngest brothers. He's an artist, so he created the logo for me. The logo you see, he created that for me. And then and so I launched it. First episode was terrible, right? But you got to start. And then I started having guests on. I started getting more. The more I did it, the more creative my mind was. I started getting guests on some of my friends I grew up with, went to high school with, worked with, people I knew personally. And then one of my friends who I used to work with, he hit me with a question. He said, "Hey man, I see what you're doing. You doing your thing." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun." He was like, "Let me ask you this." And I'm a very goal oriented person. I try to think big. And then he said, "But what's the big picture with this?" And I'm like, you know what? I never thought about that. So, I put some thought into it and I'm like, you know what? This could be a network. This could be somewhere where people will come on with their platform and get like a kickstart, or we can just create it. We can be ESPN, we can be Fox Sports. So I threw that vision out there. So then it was just me talking, whatever, me doing episodes. Now eventually did like a weekly special when I had guests come on once a week. And then I threw it out there to all the people that used to come on. Hey, I'm looking for to do a daily show with two guys or a female, whatever. I need three of us together. And then one of my friends, David, he used to work with me. I known him for like 7 years. And he reached out, was like, "Hey, I love what you're doing. I want to be a part of it." I'm like, "Bet, right?" So we got him on. I'm like, "We got to find one more person." He was like, "You should ask Tomo." Tomo went to high school with me. Tomo used to come on as a guest. Tomo, I'm a Commanders fan. Tomo is a Cowboys fan. And David is a 49ers fan. So I'm like, that's perfect. So we brought on Tomo, and then we balanced each other out. Tomo is more like mono, smooth, calm. Dave can be both. And I'm like the hype one. I got the energy. That's me. So we balanced each other out perfectly. So we started that trio November 16th, 2022. November 16th, 2022, I believe. And then after that, I met a guy, cause I do Uber on the side, right? So I met a guy, and on my headrest, I have Refuse to Lose Sports on it, like subscribe to it. So people always say like, "Oh, what's this?" And then now we start talking. "Oh, I have a friend who does podcasts." I'm like, "Oh, for real? What's the info?" I got him on the show, and he knows baseball like crazy. Like he's a diehard baseball fan. So I just randomly asked him, "You ever thought about signing you on a baseball show?" He was like, "Let's get it." So he was the first show, like expansion show on the network. And then I asked a guy named Carl, he a college guru, and I asked him about doing a college show, and he said, "What's up? I'm with it." Then he came on, and I asked another guy who I met on Instagram, and we built a relationship over the time. "What about you doing fantasy football?" He started doing fantasy football, and then people started reaching out like, "Oh, I want to do this. I want." So my brother has a show. He has a basketball show. Tomo hosts a show with two other guys, a boxing show. So we got, I believe, we have 8 shows now under the network, and that's how it came about. So shout out to my friend Dennis. He planted to see like, "Yo, you gotta think bigger," and that's how the idea came about.
It's so much in there that I like just getting it was a family thing that started. Having a vision, writing it down, making it plain, and running with it, and then to have the expansion. And to me, how I view it is like a everybody eats type of situation. All right, this is mine, this is my vision. But hey, you talk baseball, hop on. You talk wrestling, hop on, which I think is dope and I think is good also on the aspect of making your own seat at the table, making your own table instead of waiting, because everybody wants to work at ESPN. Everybody wants to be Fox Sports. You said I'm gonna just create my own Fox Sports, my own ESPN, which I think is dope. I like anybody that has that type of mentality that goes that far. So shout out to you. Within that process though, right? What was like the most difficult part for you in creating this?
You know what's funny? That's a tough question because the good thing about us doing this, and you could probably relate, is I like talking sports. Like I'm having fun doing this. Like because it does take a lot of work. You got to watch a lot of games. You know, you got to watch interviews. You know, you got to do all the work to know what you're talking about. Number one, look up stats. But then the most difficult thing with me, it wasn't really doing the sports talk and all that stuff, is balancing. Because I'm married. I have a wife. Shout out to my wife Heidi. We were approaching our 10-year anniversary in February, and I have 4 kids. I have 4 kids. So like balancing my spiritual life, my family life with the business life. Because I felt like one of the mistakes I did make in my previous career, I didn't have a healthy balance. It was a lot of work, little spiritual life, a lot of work, little family time, little to none spiritual life, basically, right? So, and I think that was a very unhealthy balance. And then I found myself in the beginning doing that again with this. Always I was so motivated. I'm still motivated, but I'm like, all I want to do is just go this. And then it's like, okay, Joe, don't make the same mistake you made last time. Now, you need a priority, basically being chaos or organized. You gotta be chaotic, but be organized at the same time. So, like, all right, this is when I'm gonna do this, but make sure this is the family, and make sure this is spiritual. And then when it comes to my spiritual life, that can be all day. So just finding that healthy balance, which I encourage everybody to do, because yes, I want to grow, refuse to lose. Yes, I want us to be big like an ESPN and Fox Sports, all that stuff, right? But that's not more important than my relationship with Christ, and that's not more important than my relationship with my wife and my kids. So having that healthy balance.
That is a lesson right there for life. I think I have titled the episode Healthy right there. I'm married also with 2 kids. So I 100% understand and know what you talk about when you say having a balance of like, all right, I gotta spend time with my wife. I gotta spend time with the kids. And of course, none of this works if I ain't spending time with God. Mm-hmm. So let's setting up those priorities like, all right, God, family, and then the sports and the business and the aspect, take everything in mind. Keep the center. Nothing's going to work if you ain't at the center. And definitely, I have been there. I'm finding a balance. Like, all right, I'll catch myself like, all right, you watch 4 games, bro. You ain't read your Bible today. You ain't spent. Nah, you gotta turn it off. You gotta take a break. You gotta turn it off. You gotta figure it out. So, like you said, that's what be organized. This time signs for this. This is for this. Is that. So, 100% agree with that. I know exactly what you're talking about. One thing you wish. Go ahead.
And real quick, I do want to add this too. Like, when it comes to balancing, like we only got 24 hours in a day, right? And then I look at, famous people, like the most famous people in the world, like guys like Shaq. Shaq has so many things going on. So many things going on. He has on podcasts, he on TNT, he got this business, that business, this commercial, that commercial. I look at Snoop Dogg. Snoop Dogg is probably the most famous person in the world. You can be a 2-year-old, know who Snoop Dogg is. You can be 99, you know who Snoop Dogg is. So they got all this stuff going on, and it's no way I'm more busier than these guys. They find time to get what's done, right? So I'm like, yo, how can I not like maximize my time? And when you start a business, you're gonna have to spend some cash. So you subscribe to certain things to condense the games and to get certain stats. So I pay for certain things to save more time. Like I can go through every game of the week and like take 3 hours, and I can go through every game out the week. You know what I mean? And then like as far as NFL, so look, and then like if I'm working, I got AirPods now, so I'm listening to interviews while I'm working. So I try to not take away for the family and spiritual, because like so when I'm working, when I have free time, that's when I try to condense all the sports stuff.
Definitely, literally, just this week was talking to my wife about that. Like, yo, I'm gonna have a time slot where it's like strictly B&Me podcast sports stuff, knock it out all at once, and just like lock in, no distractions, nothing this on. Actually lock into your point of maximizing time, because a lot of people could say that, yo, I don't have time to do this. If you put the time aside and lock in on it, you'll be surprised how much progress you'll make. A lot of times we're trying to do this while we're doing this, while we're doing that. It's not really going to work. So it's mad funny that you mentioned that, because we literally just had a conversation this week. Like, I gotta put time aside.
Confirmation.
Exactly, because we got 202. So I'm like, hey, the time frame, yeah, I gotta set something that's specifically aside, because they need all the attention, rightfully so. So that's how it is. You mentioned your faith. You mentioned making sure that you have your time spent with God. What has your faith and Jesus played in the creation, in your life in general, or Refuse to Lose Sports and you as Joe Jordan?
So when it comes to Refuse to Lose, in the beginning, before like I created my own episode, thought of YouTube, and I made an episode, boom. And then I started thinking. So at that time, I was in my faith, but I wasn't as grounded as I am today. Let me say that. So, but I was in my faith though. Like when I around the time I met my wife, that's when my faith strengthened. And my wife, I'm gonna get to her. So it was a point I'm thinking like, yo, is it okay to be famous? Cause if this becomes successful, I mean, we're online, like this becomes successful. It's gonna come through a lot of people's eyes and ears, and they would know who Joe Jordan is one day. Maybe I'm walking down the street one day and a random person, oh, are you Joe? So, and I'm asking, but do God wants us to be famous? So I was struggling with that for like a week, and then something came across me like a testimony, and then it talked about, do God want you to be famous? I was like, what is going on? Right. So I started reading it. And then dude was talking about how God wants you to be famous, because the more eyes and ears see you, if you are an example of who Christ is, the more people see you, the better. So God wants you to use big platforms. He wants you to use big, small, intermediate, all platforms to glorify his name. Right. So all the success we get, we got to make sure we glorify his name. So I came at peace with that. And then I try to make sure that everything we do, I put it in his hands. And I try not to, whenever I feel like, I'm not humble, I try to like snap out of it fast and give glory to him and give credit to others, so it's rarely I use the word I was told you use us, we, you, like you, when it comes to like when one of my mentors told me this: if the team is winning, it's because of them. If the team is losing, it's because of you. You got to take responsibility, so you have that mindset, you stay humble, you remain humble. So that's that, we refuse to lose. And it's crazy because when me, Tomo, and Dave became a trio, we were we had a meeting and we were like, all right, let's get to 1,000 subscribers by June 21st, that's my birthday, June 21st. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers. No, we said let's get monetized. And at the time, we were like at 400 subscribers. I'm like, we can do it. So then prayed about it, right? Prayed about it. And then it's like June 5th, and we like at 600 or something. I'm like, yo, we're not gonna hit it. On my birthday, you guys, like, you ever meet Tom Moore? On my birthday, I get an email from YouTube. Congratulations, you're monetized. I was like, how? We're not even at 1,000. So apparently you get monetized when you hit like, I think you can get monetized when you hit like, I think either 700 or 500, but you got to have a certain amount of watch hours and all that stuff. So we got monetized literally on my birthday. And I was like, that's crazy. Like, you plant the seed, pray about it, you put the work in, and then God will bless it if it's in his will. So that just gave me even more confirmation. So I feel like Refuse to Lose have grown from what it is, and not just like the numbers, forget all the reviews and stuff, but the community. Like, we have a whole Refuse to Lose community of like probably like 100 people now that talk on a daily basis about sports. So that's all God. And then when it comes to my personal life, my wife. So first I have a friend named Lamar, and Lamar, he was a young Christian guy, like, like a young Christian. And I'm like, this dude, like, he don't say no bad words, he don't drink, he don't smoke. I'm like, nah, ain't no way. Right? So I'm watching him, making sure when he slip up. But his walk motivated me to look myself. And then when I started looking myself, my wife came in my life. And she is a young Christian also, very beautiful. I'm like, these exist? Like, we really got young, beautiful Christians walking around like this. so I got with her, and then we got married. But then we had bumps in the roads within our marriage and everything. And then one thing about me, I was like a roller coaster with my faith. I was a roller coaster, but I never got back up to where I was in the beginning. I was like in the bottom. But my wife kept her faith the whole time. And the Bible talks about this, it talks about women. Basically, I'm paraphrasing. It talks about this in Ephesians, I think, but or Hebrews, somewhere in the New Testament. It talks about how women needs, like, wife basically remain, like, do your part. You do your part, he will come around eventually, basically. So you go win them over by your faith. So she kept her faith, and that just kept me around. It just kept me around. And then out of nowhere, a fire just burned, and then I just took off from there. So I give credit to a lot of that to my wife, and I always tell women, when I meet them, this man don't like me. I'm like, listen, this is what my wife did in the beginning. She said, we were talking. She was like, oh, can you come over? I'm like, oh, as a guy, I'm like, okay, I'll come over. Let's go. I go over our house. She sit me at her dining room table. She told me straight up. She was like, I am dating to marry. If you're not dating to marry, do not waste your time. Told me straight up. So she has standards because she has Christ in her life. So I give a lot of credit to her.
First off, congrats again on 10 years of marriage. Shout out to her. And that importance, it is in the Bible where your faith can win. Her faith won you over. There's a scripture that talks about that, and just the importance of staying focused. And shout out to even Lamar, because people will look at us and sometimes we will be the only Bible that they actually read. Do we actually exemplify who Jesus says we should be as his followers? So shout out to even Lamar, because it made it possible. Like, oh, you can actually not curse, not drink, not get high and all that, and love the Lord and have fun and talk about sports. Wow. Because a lot of people think Christianity just means, oh, boring, you don't get to do anything. I heard a Christian rapper say, instead of looking at what we don't get to do, look at all that we can do. It's a bunch that we really can do. And he just has a cup. Oh, I'll tell you left, go. I'll tell you go right, go right. Shout out to your wife. Shout out to Lamar. And again, the importance of being a part of it. He gives the increase. You prayed about it, you left it in his hands on your birthday, which I always say, God has a sense of humor. I got you. I got you. So on your birthday, here, son, I got you. Monetize. So
that was crazy. I do want to give a shout out to my father too, because he's the one that introduced me to Christ. You know, this is a quick story, real quick. My dad was dating this lady, and he wasn't following Christ, but she was. You know, so he used to go to church with her because he was trying to get with her, right? And then he ended up becoming saved, ended up getting baptized. And at the time, me and two of my brothers, we were living with him. I was 20 at the time, I think. And he walked in. He was like, "Listen, I got a guy. I want to come over, and I want him to talk to y'all. If you don't like what he's gonna talk about, I won't ever ask y'all again to talk to him." And we sitting there like, "That it's okay. Like, we not anti-Christ. I just didn't know who Jesus was, but I'm not against listening. You know, I'm open." So he came in, he sat down with me and my two brothers, and we liked what we heard. We asked him to come back. He came back. He sat with us like a week straight. And that next Sunday, we all three of us got baptized. So that's how I got baptized. My dad introduced me to Christ.
Raise up a child in the way that they should go, and when they get old, they won't depart from it.
There it
Shout
is.
out to Pop. Shout out to Pops. That kind of sounds like, I don't know if you the Ford came out, that movie.
Say it again. What movie?
The Forge. I don't know if you saw it. The Forge.
No, we haven't saw that yet. Not yet.
So it's a movie about discipleship, but with men specifically. Really good movie. Sounds similar to literally what the guy did that your father brought. I'm gonna break it down for y'all. I'm gonna explain to you who Jesus is, what this is about, and then it's up to y'all. Like God says, you share the gospel. You tell people. If they don't accept it, wipe your feet off at the door. Go to the next person. That's how it's supposed to be. Now the NBA season has started. Is back in full effect. We are going to get on the Commanders. Of course, we're going to talk about the Commanders because Jay and Daniels, they doing their thing over there. NBA season has started. The Kings are off, I believe, to a 3-2 start. With everything that happened in the offseason, adding DeMar DeRozan, how they've looked so far. What has been your expectations going into this season, and how have you liked the Kings so far early, super early into the season? From what you've seen?
All right. So last year, when I look back at last year, I feel like we could have been if healthy, like a second round minimum. But I feel like in the West, there's like a different Western Conference Finals every like, you know what I mean? It's always a battle in the West. So I feel like we, with the right path, we could have got to the Western Conference Finals. This year, I feel the same. Western Conference Finals. I do think the reason why we probably can't get to the finals, we probably could, but I won't say that because of the lack of experience, you know, of getting there. We saw it with the Timberwolves last year, you know. So now, what I like about our team is that last year we only had two bucket getters, De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk. Malik Monk goes down, out for the season. We already lose Kevin Huerter, out for the season. Two guys who bring big chunks to our offense. So now it's literally De'Aaron Fox driving and kicking. Sabonis, dribble handoff. That's it. So when things get tight, as you know, towards the end of the year, things get a little tighter. And then what they did with the NBA last year after the All-Star break, they upped up the physicality. They started calling fouls and all that stuff, which worked in our favor, by the way. We ended up being the top 10 defense in that last span of defense. So, but with only De'Aaron Fox being a bucket getter, it relied so much on three-point shooting. So when our three-point shooting wasn't well, we kind of plummet because we don't have guys who can get their own bucket when things get tough. Adding DeMar DeRozan was big. And I see it already. I see the difference already. A lot of people felt like it wouldn't work because DeRozan don't shoot out of threes. How would the spacing be and all that stuff? The first two games, you kind of saw it a little bit, all right? And then with the last three games, although it was against Utah, Atlanta, and who the third team we played? I can't even think of the third. Portland. I get it. But even with Minnesota in the Lakers game, we could have won both of the games. We lost to Minnesota late in the fourth quarter, and same thing with the Lakers. But you see the balanced attack offensively. Like just last night against the Atlanta Hawks, the Atlanta Hawks went on a run, and they tied it up. And then Fox, 2 fourth quarter scores. Fox comes down, scores. We get a stop. DeRozan comes down, scores. We get a stop. Fox comes down, score, timeout. And Fox like, calm down, calm down. And I was like, that put me at ease. I'm like, yes. It's not like all on Fox in the fourth quarter. Now, Sabonis, that's my guy. Sabonis gives you 100% effort all the time. You know, I never got to worry about Sabonis, you know, playing hard. And he makes right decisions, but he has limitations. Sabonis is the most consistent player we have, but he is limited. It's only so much he can do.
Mm-hmm.
Fox has a higher ceiling, but he's not as consistent as Sabonis. So bringing in DeRozan, who's consistent and can go off in the game, and he can like just let's get an easy shot. And lastly, we were the worst free throw shooting team in the league percentage wise. I don't know the percentage now, but every time I do Kings Talk, I feel like we're shooting 80+%, and we're shooting 20+ free throws. And DeMar DeRozan brings a lot of that. So I feel like our ceiling is Western Conference Finals. I think we can actually get there this year.
I love the signing with DeRozan because, to your point, you now have 2 fourth quarter scorers, 2 players that have been every year since the award came about, the Clutch Player of the Year award.
Yep.
They in that top 5 right there. And I think, didn't De'Aaron Fox win it one year?
Yeah, Fox won the first one. DeRozan was second. Steph won last year, and DeRozan was second again.
You have closers like that, which is needed. Sabonis is consistent. You're going to get your 20, 12, and probably 5, maybe a couple of blocks, throw a steal or 2 in there. You mix that in with DeRozan, and I like his veteran leadership. He brings experience. He ain't make it to the finals, but he had deep playoff runs with that Toronto Raptors team. He played on a team like the Spurs, so I know he got knowledge from Pop and how to win and things of that nature. You add that together with Mike Brown and his offensive mind coaching. It's the West, so everything got to play out correctly, and health and all. Like you mentioned, Monk was out. Huge piece. Yes, Kevin Huerter, you got the shooting aspect, but Malik Monk, I'm a Lakers fan. I'm hurt every day. I see him in that Kings jersey balling out. We should have signed him back for sure. But with the Kings, De'Aaron Fox contract, do you see him actually staying? They get something figured out? Or as a Kings fan, are you a little concerned that he might not come back?
I have zero concerns. Like, he turned it down because he didn't make All-NBA last year. So he would never got us, he needs to make All-NBA to get that Supermax. And so that's why he turned it down. So a lot of people saw him turn it down. Oh my goodness, he might leave. Nah, Fox gonna be here. We're gonna pay Fox. We understand how important he is. So I have no concerns of him leaving. And also what I do want to add with the DeRozan aspect, in training camp, they were interviewing him and Sabonis said this, and it's not good. But he's right. I saw it all last year. He said DeRozan, he comes prepared to play every game, every practice. Like, he has a mentality like, let's not take this game for granted, basically. And there were games last year we didn't come prepared. And I'm like, that's not good. But then I saw it. We lost to the Detroit Pistons. We lost to we got swept by the Houston Rockets early in the season, lost by like 30 both games. We almost lost to the Spurs a couple of times. Like, we lost to a lot. I think we got blown out more, like early in the season. We got blown out like 6 times, like early in the season. So, and you can tell it was a lack of focus, lack of readiness. It was a stretch when Fox didn't look the same last year. I was like, what's going on with Fox? So DeRozan being there, it just brings that level of consistency, that veteranship of taking every moment seriously. Because you look at our team, who's a veteran? Sabonis? He the veteran, right? So now DeRozan is that legit veteran now.
I think that's the other factor too, because when you look at DeRozan, even when he was with the Bulls, I know ownership wished that they lost some games, but DeRozan every single year. I mean, Kobe White had a big year last year, but DeRozan, even though he on a Bulls squad, and when he signed it, a lot of people was like, all right, DeRozan is trying to get a bag. He not trying to win no more. He went there, and the Bulls was in the play-in, on the outside of the play-in, every single year. You saw what he did with the Spurs, so I get it. He didn't make it to the finals. He wasn't able to get past Bron, but DeRozan is a winner. it's one of those situations where it's same with Jordan. It's a lot of players and a lot of teams that are actually good. They just ran into Jordan. They just ran into Bron. That prevented them from getting the championship. It doesn't mean that they sucked or wasn't or winners or anything like that. DeRozan was a winner, and it just so happened the year that Kawhi gets there, injuries happen. They go win the finals. Oh, Kawhi was the difference. DeRozan, we never know. But Bron wasn't there. It was a completely different situation.
Okay.
You mentioned, with Fox trying to get a Supermax, All NBA. Do you think he makes an All NBA team with how loaded that point guard position is in the NBA? Because they did a positionless, so it's only 6 guard spots and a loaded era of guards from Anthony Edwards, Luka Doncic, Tyrese Halliburton, Jalen Brunson. Does he get one of those 6 spots?
Yeah, I think he does. I think he deserved it last. I think he kind of deserved it last year. Well, did I think he did it last year? I know if Steph Curry got it, he deserved it because he had better numbers than Steph Curry and he had a better record than Steph Curry. We talking about all around. He averaged more points. He averaged more steals. The only thing Steph had over him that year, he averaged more assists, more rebounds, is Steph shot a better 3-point percentage. But I think Steph made it because it's the name. Like it's Steph Curry. So the key to him being an all NBA player, we have to win. That's what it's going to be. Like it's not going to be like this us making an all-star game. Like last year we were the 4th seed going into the All-Star week. And the Lakers, I know you're a Lakers fan. The Lakers were like they're going 8 seed, and LeBron and AD made it. And I'm like, what? How is that? What happened? Kawhi and Paul George. Paul George averaged like 24 points a game, 23 a game. Why is he in the All-Star game when we got a better record than them? So I didn't understand that. But with the Kings, we just had to win a lot of games. We had to be like a top 4 minimum seed for him to be All NBA, and he has to be consistent. So I did predict that him and Sabonis will both be all NBA players this year.
Winning cures it all. You get the wins, they can't deny you, even though they denied the All-Star. As a Lakers fan, being honest, I was like, all right, we're going to get one of them. Both of them? That goes to the Lakers brand. Big market, Lakers name, Bron, AD, and we know, being completely honest, as long as Bron keep playing, Bron going to be making those all-star teams, whether he top 10.
He's going to be the captain.
Every single year until he retired. More than likely this year, he going to get on one of those all-NBA teams, 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, until he retire. If the Suns have a decent record, KD's going to get in there. Steph's going to get in there. These legacy names, if they play decent and their team is decent, they more than likely going to take up a spot. So, for the Kings, y'all win. You can't deny me that. If I got the wins, we a top 4, top 3 seed in that West. We'll have to do an episode if they get denied again. We're going to have to figure something out, write a letter to Adam Silver, something, because if they win and they do well, definitely should happen. A team that is winning and also a good star, which some didn't predict. I don't know if you predicted it, but the Commanders, NFC East, some would say, I mean, the Eagles are coming on late as of late, but some would say the NFC East is the Commanders squad. They're the ones that are on top of the NFC East, the best team in the NFC East. How are you feeling? And did you expect to see this instant day one impact from Jayden Daniels?
I did not. I did not see this. I like see. Last season I was scarred. I'm not gonna lie. I came into last year, Eric Bieniemy coming over from the Chiefs. I'm like, okay, we got a Super Bowl caliber coach coming over. I compare Eric Bieniemy coming to the Commanders to Mike Brown coming to the Kings. Like, I feel like it was the same situation. He was an offensive coordinator for like 5 years straight. They was winning. Mike Brown was basically the defensive coordinator for the Warriors when they were winning. And then he came in the first year, changed the whole culture, a winning culture, took a losing culture to a winning one. And I felt like Eric Bieniemy did the same thing. But Eric Bieniemy, there were a lot of rumors about him coming into the situation, so that happened. So this year I came in a little bit more conservative. I was like, listen, I'm gonna give my rookie some grace. I'm gonna give him a year to pick it up, get used to the speed. So I'm gonna give us 7 wins. This is on the conservative side. I got my boy Mark that comes on the show with me sometimes. He's a Commander fan. He said 11 games, we're gonna win the division. He said all this stuff. I'm like, all right, if that happens, I'm gonna give you all the credit. And he's looking like a genius right now because, man, they came in flying. And I think that the reason why they are flying because, number one, Dan Quinn. And it's crazy because we wanted Ben Johnson. I know I did. I see what he's doing in Detroit. And then when he pulled off on the plane, not respond, like canceling on our flight, I'm like, okay, now we got beef. Now we got to see you in the playoffs. So then we pivoted and we went to Dan Quinn. I'm not going to lie. I'm like, oh, man, like he giving me Ron Rivera vibes. You know, that's what it looked like. So then he comes there and he changed everything. And one thing he said that when he left Atlanta, he had somebody to do an anonymous survey on what he did well and what he did not so well. And then he took all the things that he did not so well and he worked on that all these years to get him ready for this situation right here. And when you hear guys like Michael Parsons, Trayvon Diggs talking about him, they all say like he'll have you running through a wall. Like people want to play for him. Like you see all these veteran coaches that came to team up with him, like to work with him, which is crazy. And then bring it in like veteran leadership like Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, Tyler Biadasz, like veteran guys who's been around rookies, who mentor rookies before, and who've been on winning teams. That helped the culture. And then Jaden Daniels, man. I mean, what can I say? First one there, last one to leave. He played 55 games in college. Everything is slow for him. As you can see, everything is super slow for him. He got swag on top of that. He playing with a ski mask. I'm like, bro, it's not even that hot cold outside. I'm like, okay. He in the press conference. They said, are you not a cold guy? He said, nah, it ain't that. I just like the look. I'm like, this man right here. He playing the first game of the season with his helmet loose and all. Like, he got hit like 3 times, helmet flying off. I'm like, bro, like tighten up your helmet. He trying to look too, he too cool. So he got the swag with it, and he gets better. The first game he played, I'm like, he looks like a rookie. Like he's just running every chance he get. And then week 2, first half against the Giants, he looked like a rookie. He got hit that one time, sat in our pocket, started looking like a quarterback, And then the Bengals, then we couldn't score touchdowns. We get to the Bengals game. We score a touchdown every drive except one. And then, he just gets better as the season goes. We see Baltimore. They throw these exotic blitzes. He's still delivering. He gets hit by Roquan, delivers. Get hit by Kyle Hamilton, delivers. So he's answering every bill. Then, come on now. I mean, you got 6 seconds left. What you going to do? Then he just throw a Hail Mary? I mean, are you serious? So he's answering every call. But it all starts with the ownership and then Dan Quinn.
I gave it a year or two. I'm like, all right, I see that they building something. I love the new change in ownership. Dan Quinn's there. Jaden Daniels, like you said, rookie quarterback. We see Caleb Williams is going through the ups and downs. I'm thinking the same thing. Rookie quarterback, got to figure it out. Nah, it doesn't seem that way. And I think one of the key factors too, and I said this before, is like, I think it was the second game of the season or the third game where Terry McLaurin had the big touchdown.
Third.
And they say on the broadcast, like, Terry McLaurin has been in his ear. He's been supportive. He hasn't been, that diva wide receiver throwing a helmet. I'm not getting the target. And look, it all panned out. Everything is going well with him and Jaden Daniels. I think more wide receivers, especially if you have a younger quarterback, have to have that patience and understanding with their quarterbacks. You look at it with Caleb Williams. Anytime that joker miss a pass, Keenan Allen, they all the body language is nasty. And he could be mentally tough, but that's not going to help a young quarterback. Terry McLaurin, I love that. Terry, he knows I might not get as many targets, I might not get a touchdown, but it's building towards the future. Just happens that the future came a little bit sooner than everybody thought. So it worked out.
And Terry, he played with like 11 different quarterbacks. Like nobody was a superstar, so he had to be paid. Last year, we led the league in passing attempts, and Terry was barely getting targets. And the question, like, it was a game when he went through the whole game with 0 targets, and he don't complain. So I love him and Jonathan Allen. Those are 2 guys that been here for a while, who's been losing, but they're great leaders. So Jonathan Allen gets hurt for the year. He's like telling the young boys, like, it's your opportunity to shine. Like, take advantage of this opportunity. He not mad. Like you said, Terry McLaurin, he doesn't show up as receiver. I tell my boy Tomlin this all the time. As a Cowboy fan, your boy CD gotta take notes. CD gotta take notes from Terry McLaurin. You can't be getting mad at Dak. Like, he can't keep doing that every game y'all losing. So Terry McLaurin, he's a professional. For sure.
Funny you said that, because when it happened, the first week where CD over here throwing the helmet and everything, I came on the pod. I said, hey, Terry McLaurin, maybe we should get his number, figure out what he's doing. CD Lambs of the world, the Stephon Diggs of the world. I get the frustration. In a position as a wide receiver, you're dependent on the quarterback. You're dependent on the OC to actually call your number.
Yeah.
Throwing a fit in any part of life typically don't work out. it don't do anything. You throw a fit in anything that's not sport, your boss not gonna be like, all right, we'll give you the raise now. No, it don't work like that. With Jayden Daniels, do you think that this is something that can be sustained? Every rookie sometimes hits that rookie wall. It doesn't seem like he's hit one as of yet. And in games where he doesn't per se have the best stats, you see the Hail Mary, they figure it out. And it was funny, I was listening to a podcast where it's a Commanders fan, been a Commanders fan for 12, 15 years. He said watching that play, he actually had hope that something could happen, which is a completely different place to be as a Commanders fan. Most people, you see 6 seconds left, all right, bro, we chalked it up, it was a loss. He had hope because it's Jayden Daniels there. You think this is sustainable for the rest of the season?
Yes, man, because of his work ethic. That's what excites me the most. What everybody says about him. Everybody's like, not just the outside. We talking about Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz. High praise for him. Zach Ertz said he is probably the best quarterback I played with since Andrew Luck, and he speaks highly of Andrew Luck. And he said, he said he reminded him of Andrew Luck. And Andrew Luck is the best quarterback he's played with. And he said Andrew Luck, he's about the team, not me. Like, Jayden Daniels gained the respect. Dan Quinn, he didn't just like the Bears. We are drafting Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams, red carpet. Nah. We're going to bring in J.J. McCarthy. We're going to bring in Jayden Daniels. We're going to take all of y'all to Top Golf. Y'all chill. We ain't telling you. We don't know who we picking. On the day of, we drafting Jayden Daniels. Is he the starter? No, we competing for it. We got Marcus Mariota. They're gonna compete. They made him compete for the starting job. I remember he used to do interviews. Are you the starter? He said, they said when I'm ready, I'll start, and I'm ready. That's what he said. Like, they never told him that he's gonna start. They said when you're ready, you will start. He won the starting QB job. So they had him earn everything. So by him doing that, he gained the respect from everybody in the team. And his work ethic alone, like I said, like in the film room, like Terry McLaurin said, the second day of training camp, this dude basically knew the whole playbook almost. Like that's not normal for a rookie, especially with this complicated offense with Cliff Kingsbury. So not complicated, but a lot of the new stuff, right? So Jayden Daniels, what he does off the field gives me motivation that this is going to get better, because this is not just off pure talent. This is work being put in, plus the talent, because he is talented, and it's showing in fruition with the right leadership in place. The Hail Mary tells you everything about the leadership. Everybody was in place. Everybody knew what was going on. They knew the situation, and that's why I got executed. So, yeah, I'm confident, definitely. And we got the second easiest schedule coming up. Confident.
Hard work beats talent when talent fails to work hard. He puts the work in into. I didn't hear that because you trying to check in with all 32 teams, you checking in with all 30 NBA teams, but to hear that the second day, this man already knew the playbook. Oh yeah, he's locked in. He's focused. He actually wants to be great.
Yes.
And I think he's found from beginning of the season till now, he's found that balance of when to run, when not to run. Hopefully he keeps in mind the sliding aspect. I hope he stays healthy because I think he could be one of the most dynamic quarterbacks. He has a bright future. And it showed his toughness. That Hail Mary game, we had a show. And I literally on the show was like, all right, yo. So who y'all got in the matchup? It's going to be Caleb Williams against Jay and Daniels. My co-host was like, Jay and Daniels ain't playing. You better talk about Marcus Mariota. Say, all right, maybe I'm wrong. Like, maybe I'm wrong. Then I see him on the field. I immediately hit the chat like, I thought he wasn't playing. I thought he wasn't playing. The man is tough to do that. Have that injury. You saw last game. He was lingering around. You could tell he wasn't fully healthy. He was having some pain. They had to wrap him up basically on the sideline to be able to sit there. And to go do what he did,
crazy.
The legend of Jay and Daniels has begun.
Yeah.
Point period. All right. Last question we have before we transition to our fourth quarter segment.
Okay.
One piece of advice that you give somebody that wants to get in the sports media space, the sports creator space, that wants to do what you're doing. They watch it, they listen, like, yo, that sounds dope what Joe Jordan is doing. I want to do the same thing.
Well, start. Let's start there. A lot of people got all these ideas bobbled up and they never start. And I feel like no matter how bad it is when you start, like if I show you my first episode, it was hideous. It was bad. I was monotone. Everything was just bad about it, nothing good about it. But once you start, your creative juices start flowing. You started thinking like, okay, this can be better. Then you try it. Oh, this can be better. And you try it. It just keep happening. Don't worry about making mistakes because mistakes help you get to where you at. Like sometimes people say, oh, what were some things you would change? It's hard to answer that question because if I didn't go through that bump, I wouldn't know. Like you need to get through some bumps. So you got to just start. That's number one. Be consistent. I tell people all the time, if you record ants all day and make a YouTube channel, if you're consistently doing that, you're going to get a following. That's just how it works. Like you got to be consistent. Nothing grows without consistency. You can't run around the block twice and think you're going to get a six-pack. No, you got to constantly jog. You got to constantly keep putting the work in. And a lot of people start and stop, and people don't realize for example, every day you're taking a step. But every day you're supposed to do it and you don't do it. Not saying do it 7 days a week, but the days you say you're going to do it. And when you take off that day when you're supposed to do it, you take 2 steps back. Sometimes 3, sometimes 4. Because you're going up a hill. It's harder to run up a hill, but it's easier to go down the hill. So when you take time off and when you get inconsistent, it's easier to fall down. So you got to be consistent. And lastly, and most important to me, is you got to put God first. Now, don't get me wrong. You could become successful without putting God first. You can become successful. There are a lot of millionaires that don't put God first, but will you be truly happy? I don't know. I know that, if you put God first, things are much easier. Things are less stressful because when tough times do come, God has your back. You in the palm of God's hand. He's walking. He's helping you with your steps. But if you're doing things on your own, you don't know truly what the outcome is going to be because you're a mere human. So it comes with stress. It comes with worry. So it talks about consider it pure joy when you go into trials and tribulation because it builds up your perseverance. But if I'm not putting God first, it's only in my hands. I mean, I can't control what's going to happen next. I can't move stuff to the side, and make a path for me. I can try, but I really can't do that. And that's when the stress and the worry comes because you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. But if I got God on my side, I know that God is watching, God is helping, God has got his whole hands on R2L. There's no worry. He throws ideas in there, and I'm like, oh, snap, let's try this. He threw an idea with me the other day I had to talk to the team about. So Keep God first, and then you won't be stressed. Because I'm having fun. I'm having a lot of fun doing this.
That reminds me of my favorite passage, Matthew 6:25-33, where it talks about not worrying. I take care of the lilies. I make sure the birds eat.
What?
It's nothing for you to worry about. And it goes into the aspect of really embracing and understanding that he's a good father.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good father. Like it literally talks about in the scriptures. I don't know if it's in that same chapter, but it talks about, hey, if an evil person could give good gifts, how much more will I give for you? The person that actually God has everything, unlimited resources, unlimited. God ain't broke like, hey, let me get back to you next week. You need some ideas. Let me get back to you. Like everything we have, God put that idea into somebody to create lights, to create. That's all God, if you really understand it. So why not go to the creator, who obviously is the most creative ever, did the whole world in 7 days. Why not go to that person? Talk to that person. Hey, God, I need some help. I got you. Put me first. Spend time with me, do these things, and I'll take care of the rest. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. All this other stuff.
Yeah. You know, he said, your father he gives you gifts. What you think your heavenly father going to do? Like your earthly father's not going to give you a snake. He's going to give you an actual gift. So if he can give you a gift, what do you think I can do for you? You know, so man. And like you're right, he feeds the birds. He does all this stuff. So why are we tripping? Like the birds never worry about food because God provides all the time.
You'll never ever see a bird like, hey yo, where I'm gonna get my next meal. They eating good. Like this is also why he says come to him as children. When we have children, those that are parents that watch this, they don't come out the womb like, yo, where my food coming? They just know they're gonna get fed.
There it is.
They just know they're gonna get fed. We gotta have that same mentality. I just know God gonna take care of me. It's not my job to know how. It's not my job to know when. He said he gonna do it. He gonna do it. We mentioned food and eating, and the birds don't have to worry. Fourth quarter segment. Okay. I'm a foodie. I love to eat food. I eat for 3, even though my size may not seem like it. I always ask any guest a food-related question. So, one meal you could eat and not get tired of.
Okay. Some crab legs or crabs. Got some crab legs or crabs. A steak. This meal don't go together, but it's my favorite food. Some crab legs. A nice steak, well done. My mother's macaroni and cheese. My mother's cherry pie. And then a drink. I'll take a glass of any type of juice. I'm a juice guy. I'm a heavy juice guy. So any type of juice. It could be orange juice, it could be apple juice, any type of juice. But crab legs, steak, my mom's mac and cheese, and my mom's cherry pie. That's my perfect meal.
The specific mom's mac and cheese.
Yeah.
And it's confirmation you said that because I'm a juice person too. And I just told my wife, like, yo, I think I probably got to take like 2 weeks no juice because I'm a juice. I'm a juice person. Apple juice, lemonade, strawberry lemonade. I joke with my wife. My wife always jokes with me. She's like, you could be a virgin mixologist. The amount of juice I drink and the stuff that I mix together. Confirmation. I'm definitely going to have to take a little break.
That's me.
Facts. If you could have tickets to any sporting event in history, it could be past, it could be going forward. Any sporting event, you could have tickets to that event. What would it be?
All right. So this is gonna be like this is not no championship game or a Super Bowl. It's a regular season game. But I wish I was there though. See, if I go to watch the Lakers play the Warriors and Steph Curry hits a crazy game winning shot, I'm like, oh, but it's not my team. You know? Like if the Commanders did if the Buffalo Bills hit a Hail Mary like the Commanders did, I've been excited to be there, but it ain't the same because it was the Commanders. So a game, and obviously the Kings don't have any championships I wasn't alive when the Commanders won the championship. So my game would be 2 years ago, the Sacramento Kings against the Los Angeles Clippers, double overtime. And the Kings won, I think, 176, I think, to 174, something crazy like that. I watched that game from start to finish from my house, and I was so excited. I was up like 3 o'clock in the morning trying to find somebody to talk to about it. so, so if I was at that game, especially how Malik Monk hits a 3 to go to overtime, De'Aaron Fox hit the game with a jumper to win the game. Like, it was just so much. Because they were down by, I think they were down by 10 with like 3 minutes left. And then Fox had like 3 steals in a row and got 3 layups. And then it was a game after that. So if I was there with that crowd, LA, Sacramento, like it's like a lot of ahs and oohs the whole time. Man, that game was crazy. If I was there, that's the game I want to be in live in person.
Yo, that reminds me of, it was this game 06. I had the opportunity to go to this game, but my parents at the time was like, nah, we not going, this, that, and the third. The Suns Nets double overtime game.
Oh,
161 to 157. I'm at school the next day, hurt. Everybody like, yo, you saw the game? You saw the game? I had to go to sleep in the first overtime. I'm thinking, all right, maybe it'll be done. You know, you a kid, gotta go to bedtime and all that. That game ended like 2 o'clock in the morning. Everybody was talking about it the next day, and I'm like, nah, I had to catch it on Sports Center. Nah, I had tickets to the game, but nah, I ain't go. So definitely, that reminds me of that Kings game. Definitely, they put more points up, but still, those overtime games that's going to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning.
It's another overtime game. I don't know if you remember. This a while ago. It was a Big East with Johnny Flynn and them. It was Syracuse against UConn, I think, and they went like 6 overtimes. Was it Syracuse and UConn? I know UConn was in it. They went to 6 overtimes that game.
I remember that game. Another game. Had to go to sleep. Wasn't letting me stay up for all 6 overtimes, but I remember that. I remember
I go to sleep too, though. That game was crazy.
I remember that game for sure. You're a Kings fan, so you know we gotta ask, who are your top 5 Sacramento Kings of all time?
All right. So I'm doing my favorite players, okay? These are my favorite players. Number 5, Chris Webber. I know Chris Webber ain't my favorite king, although he's arguably the best king in their history, right? Mm-hmm. So Chris Webber is number 5. Number 4, DeMarcus Cousins.
Boogie.
DeMarcus Cousins, number 4, Boogie Cousins. You know, I feel like with him on the court, we always had a chance. I feel like we always had a chance. I feel like he was the best big man in the league at the time. Number 3, De'Aaron Fox. De'Aaron Fox is number 3. I'm a big Swiper fan. Like, I try to, like, you know, I told my people, I want to create, like, I want to get my following up in the Kings world so I can have a voice in the players. You know what I mean? Like, what they, you know, I want to eventually get an MVP vote, all that stuff. Because there's a Kings guy, Jason Ham, he has an MVP vote, and he works with the Kings. So I'm like, oh, man, I can do that too. You know, so I want to be able to do that. So De'Aaron Fox, number 3. Number 2, Tyreke Evans. That was my guy, Tyreke Evans. We messed him up. Once we moved him to the 3, we messed him up. He's a true point guard. He's a point guard. He's not a shooter. He got handles like crazy. He could finish inside, but he's a great passer. He went to New Orleans and he played with, I think he played with AD in New Orleans and averaged 11 assists or something like that. So Tyreke Evans is number 2. And my favorite Kings player of all time, and this is how I became a fan, Mike Bibby. Mike Bibby is my favorite Kings player of all time. I'm still mad at Kobe, even though Kobe is my favorite player. It's a long story about that. But I'm still mad at Kobe when I didn't like Kobe when he elbowed Mike Bibby in Game 6 in Western Conference Finals. They 20-something free throws in the fourth quarter. That's crazy. But anyways, but Mike Bibby, like Mike Bibby a lot. That was the first jersey I ever had. I had a Mike Bibby jersey. And and Mike Bibby was small. I was small, at the time. He was a small point guard, but he was an underdog type player. And when they were battling the Lakers, he was literally going back and forth with Kobe. And Mike Bibby wasn't considered one of the best players in the world. So those are my top 5.
It's funny, right in the chat, they just mentioned Mike Bibby. It was like Peja, and then somebody mentioned Mike Bibby right when you said it. I remember those series as a Lakers fan. I remember those. They had me nervous. Thankfully, I don't know if David Stern made a call or somebody did something, but it all worked out for the Lakers. So
that's crazy.
I know exactly that series you talked
It
about.
haunts me to this day.
It was had me nervous over here like that. It might be over, but somehow it worked out. 3 things you absolutely knew every day.
Okay, I'm going to answer this. Obviously not in a literal way, but I'm going to answer this like 3 things, if I could, like 3 things I want, I guess. One thing I do need for sure is Christ. Let's put that right there. Boom. I need Christ every day. All right. I need juice, man. I need juice every day. I need like a sweet drink, every day. It be times when I come home and like I come home late from work and there's no juice in the house. I'm like, how you no juice in the house? What's going on? And then Walgreens right down the street, 24 hours. I literally go to Walgreens and buy something to drink. So that's that. And the last thing I would say, but if we want to put juice to the side, I would say Christ, sports. I'm obviously a big sports fan, and friendship. Like the people the people I talk to on a daily basis, even in the sports world, I feel like they just bring a lot of joy in my life. You know what I mean? I don't think they understand the type of joy I receive just for talking with my friends. Because I grew up in, my mother has 6 kids. My father has a daughter outside of my mom's kids. So it's 7 of us total. My sister is the oldest, and it's all boys, and my youngest is a girl too. But I'm the oldest boy, so I'm the second oldest. So I was always like all my friends were older than me. Like I looked at, I was always around my friends. I was the oldest boy. I was the biggest one there. So I enjoy time. Like people say, what you want to do for your birthday? The best thing I like to do is y'all come over and we just chill and laugh and and like reminisce, make jokes all day. So I would say Christ, sports, and like the friendships.
Those are a solid 3, and then a 3B with juice. I'm right there with you. I'm right there. I despise cooking a meal. I'm ready to eat it, and I go into the fridge, and all we got there is water. I'm like, no, this is going to take down the flavor of everything that happens. You get the right juice. It's like wine. You get the right juice to pair with what you cooking. Chef's kiss. That makes everything. I've been there. Juice and sweets. If I'm in the mood for some type of sweet, my pops was the worst. My mom would go food shopping. She would bring back 12 bags of groceries. We going through the bags. We ain't get no pie, no cake, no nothing. Give me the keys and go right back out. It gets sweet. So definitely been there. Thank you again for hopping on with us. We got the last question. Thank you for taking time out your schedule. This season, up to this point, we're at the halfway point. Week 8 just finished. We at week 9. What would you say? Who would you say are your top 5 quarterbacks so far this season?
All right. I just did a top 5 MVP candidate last Friday, and I think it's kind of still the same. All right. So, number 1, Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, number 1. Number 2, Jaden Daniels. Yes, I said it. Jaden Daniels, number 2. Number 3, I'm going to say Josh Allen. I'm going to say Jared Goff. I'm going to say Jared Goff, number 3. Number 4, Josh Allen. Number 5 was tough. It was really tough. Like I thought about Baker Mayfield, but ever since Baker Mayfield lost Mike Evans and he threw a lot of interceptions. I thought about C.J. Stroud, but C.J. Stroud been struggling. I thought about Jalen Hurts, but Jalen Hurts, I don't know. So it's tough to say number 5, but I'm gonna go with Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold been balling. I think the last 2 games they lost, it wasn't on him. I feel like it was on the more on the defense because they still put up points both games. So I'm gonna say those are my top 5 QBs for this year.
All right, so before we end, I'm gonna give an opportunity because I know how some of our subscribers are. I know how some of our people on TikTok are. They're gonna be like, Joe ain't mentioned Patrick Mahomes at all. For you, why would you not have Pat Mahomes in the top 5 quarterback conversation?
Now, your question was who has been the top 5 this year. Now you asked me who the best quarterback is. Patrick Mahomes. Who the best quarterback? Period. Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback. Do I think they're gonna repeat? I did pick Lamar, but I mean something in me said they're gonna win again. like that, they the Chiefs. But I'm sorry, they not winning because of Mahomes. Now he's making plays down the stretch, but the defense is leading that team. He got more interceptions than touchdowns. I can't put him in top 5. I'm sorry. It's the name. I understand. I know he's a potential GOAT, but that's not the question. The question is who has been the best quarterbacks this year? Because that was the case, Sam Darnold would not be in my top 5.
I just have to throw it out there for the caveat, just so they see, so I could combine the clip and be like, all right, I already know y'all gonna ask. And it makes sense. We just had this conversation on our last episode. More interceptions than touchdowns. They've had some injuries. The thing is, ultimately, they're probably going to win a Super Bowl again.
Exactly.
Check was supposed to be coming back either this week or next week. D-Hop, they're going to figure it out. The defense is really good, which he kind of gets to be in a situation what Tom Brady was with those Patriots teams. I just got to manage the game and make plays down the stretch. My defense is elite, so we good. He don't have to have the crazy 4 touchdowns, 420. He don't have to have those games right now. And if it starts clicking at some point, be scared, be nervous.
Exactly.
Because he don't have to do that right now. Still undefeated. So that's for those that watches and say, what about Pat Mahomes? Because a lot of y'all don't read, and I'm sure you've seen this having a sports network and creating content. They just hear the clip. No Pat Mahomes?
Yeah.
This season. So a lot of y'all do not read or listen to that aspect. Y'all just see a list. What? He don't know what he's talking about. We're Pat Mahomes. This season.
Again,
we thank you for hopping on. It will be in the description. It'll be in the comments. Make sure y'all go subscribe to Refuse to Never Lose Sports Network. Follow them on Instagram. They're on Twitter. They're everywhere on social media. But y'all know the vibes here at BME Podcast. If you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. Bench Mob, we out. Peace.